That's better. Ay. $897, $899, 800 and wait, did I do 898? Oh. 1, 2, 3 shoots in to here, and then this comes in to there, and then it just kind of mashes in that doesn't make any sense. Hello? Hello, is Mr. JPEG home?
No, Mr. PNG lives here.
Oh, sorry, wrong house. What game is this? This place looks pretty good. And then they don't want. It doesn't. It doesn't. Flat. And then it. One. Just one. Let me. In a one. I want to leave, but it won't move. Go! Why is every window flat? And then, what, if there, whoa, oh. 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 Oh, there's a microphone in the trash. I guess I'll talk in it. So this gorgeous video game that you've been staring at is what Game Freak likes to call 3D 2D. Yeah, I know. You thought that was what Square Enix was doing. No, that's like 2D HD or 3D HD, something like that. I don't know. No, this is the new 3D 2D, where you build a lot of 3D assets, but then slap 2D models on them. It's really quite ingenious. Something really creative when you think about it. I mean, really the only downside is that it sucks. I have a lot of early first impressions thoughts on Pokémon ZA. I sat down tonight and I played it for several hours, which was almost enough time to get out of the very hand-holdy tutorial that this game has. Almost! I understand that Pokémon games, even to this day, are made for children. I get that. I do. It's kind of like growing up with Disney movies and then expecting them now to be for adults because I'm 35. Being an adult is awesome. And this game, Pokémon ZA, is still very much targeted to children. The game assumes that you've never played a video game before in your life. In fact, in many ways, the game assumes that you've never done anything before in your life. Legends Arceus had the same issue, just a constant slog of tutorial and talking and dialogue and pop-ups and learn this. Once you break free the shackles that is the start of this game, which I'm pretty sure is the same exact quote that I gave in my Arceus review. It does actually start to get pretty enjoyable as the game opens up, and it allows you to enjoy the day and night cycle of it all, catching Pokemon in the day, battling randos down alleyways at night. This game just teaches kids so many great lessons. Also, this is Nintendo's most expensive game so far, $100 if you include the $30 day one DLC. That said, that's about it, at least what I've discovered so far. This big old map, you have Poke Centers that you can walk into, and then there's a bunch of shops that you can look at. I bet the inside of this cafe is gorgeous. We'll never know. But thankfully for us, the barista is standing outside the cafe on the steps, and you can talk to him, and a text menu will pop up, and he'll just hand you whatever you want outside of the cafe, because that's how cafes work. Why go through the effort of having like a whole store when you can just paint a wall and stand out the front? I don't really understand this. I mean, even as like a kid, I know the game is designed for kids, but even as a child, I remember being so impressed when I can actually go into a location in a video game. That element was never lost on me. So I don't really think the argument here is, well, the game's made for kids, they don't want to go inside a store. No, I think they do. I think even like a 7-year-old would be bummed out by this, but what do I know? All right, let's talk about the windows. I kind of feel like I should do a better follow-up than this to a video that I made back in March that has, as of right now, almost 2 million views. Clearly, my weird gripe with the windows actually resonated with a lot of people. I really thought it was just me. In fact, even recently, there was a bunch of Giga leaks from the Pokemon company, which seems to keep happening. All Game Freak's future Pokemon plans all the way to 2030 got leaked online, and included in that was a little tidbit from 2023 where the game was actually fully modeled. All the windows and balconies, they were all there, and it looked pretty great. But guess what? They took a little photo of it, and then they slapped that photo on the buildings because it eased up on the processing power. It made the game perform and run better, which I don't know who figured that one out before a bunch of Giga leaks had to happen. Oh, was it me? I went into it in my video, but with Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield having these purposely designed decent looking buildings, I guess you could say, but they weren't JPEGs. Like, they've never utilized this way of game design before, so why now? And I will say, for the most part, it has worked. I mean, in the 6 hours that I've played on my Switch 2, the game's been 60 frames 4K essentially the whole time. I mean, it's actually running and looking pretty nice. And with all of those edges really clean, and the HDR popping, and the vibrancy, and the colors, I gotta be honest, this is the best looking Pokemon game that Game Freak have ever designed. I want to stress Game Freak. I'm not talking about like Pokemon Snap, which was another team. I mean Game Freak. They really have done their best work here, and I do have to appreciate it. I mean, the whole picture does come together quite pretty, as long as you just keep moving and you don't stare at it for too long.
Like, look, guys, each one of these 4 people are standing in the exact same default model way. They all have the same model. And it's like,
it was also in those data leaks that the entire city, this big-ish, it's not that big. I actually timed running from one end of the city to the other tonight on stream, and it only took a minute and a half. It's a very small city. I can see this game getting pretty old pretty quickly. This whole city is one 3D model that's rendered in at all times. You know that nice little tactic that a lot of video games do so that they can make their games look nice and put as many assets and cool things into the world as possible? That they have it so it only renders in what you can see, you know, the area that you're currently in, and then it doesn't bother rendering in the rest of the game. Well, Game Freak said, no, even when you're all the way over here on this side of the map, we're gonna have all the map, all the way everywhere rendered in at all times, even when you can't see it. I don't know why, but that's what they decided to do. And then when they decided to do that, I guess they went, oh, but now the game's running bad. So rather than change this detrimentally flawed idea and concept that we had, how about we make everything a JPEG, and that way it'll be easy to render in everything at the same time, even the stuff that the player can't see because they're on the other side of the map. And then everyone else at Game Freak went, yeah!
I'm not even kidding. And it's going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse. I actually freaked out for a second and I was like, oh my God, the game's on mute. And I was trying to figure out how to unmute the game. And then I had a moment where I realized there's no voice acting. It is just dead silent right now. I honestly thought
I'll dive more into the way that the game looks and the weird design choices in a future video. For now, it is quite literally exactly what I said it was and what it was going to be in my video that I made back in March. So I don't really have anything else to say. They quite literally are pictures of buildings slapped on the front of rectangles.
the closer I get, the more people pop out. And then as I get here, some people pop in and more people pop out. This is ridiculous. This is actually insane to look at if you start focusing at it.
I've done a lot of complaining. And I'll see you guys next time. I've done a lot of complaining, but there is a couple things I do really like about this game. And I know that the bar for that is so far down, it's like below the floor. I'm really enjoying the new combat gameplay. It's by far the highlight of this game. Separating the traditional battle mechanics as far away as possible from the core series, I think, is integral here. I like the 4-move, turn-based setup of a traditional Pokemon game as much as the next guy. I mean, I've been playing it that way back since Red and Blue. But I think having this new experimental format that kind of brings us closer to what the actual anime was like growing up is a great spin-off side tangent for them to explore. And it works really well here. You move around the battlefield all in real time, and you can tell your Pokemon where to move and stand in real time, which means you can actually have it actively move out of the way of attacks. One of my favorite things about my playthrough so far is I found a TM for Fire Spin, which is a move that previously was kind of useless in the turn-based traditional setting of Pokemon, but in this game, it is a giant burning ring of fire that does damage ticks as long as Pokemon are standing in it, and it's also because it's an AoE, it can hit multiple Pokemon at once, and it just melts Pokemon away. And this is an element that can really only happen with this new style of battling, and I'm just really enjoying it. The catching mechanic is similar to how it was in Arceus, how it's all in real time, and I still love that we have that because I'd wanted that for so long. If you liked Arceus, this is similar, but not really. I mean, they've changed so much. Arceus was a game where you had like a little home base and you would go out into these big, expansive, different terrain environments and catch all of these Pokemon and then come back with your materials and craft Pokeballs and go out and do it again. It was kind of like Monster Hunter. This is just in a small city, and you go and catch stuff at day, and you battle people at night. And that's the game. That's just my first impressions. I gotta keep playing the game. I'll let you know what I think. Okay, bye.